Hey, everyone, and welcome to episode number 68 of the Chris Rose Rotation, a production of JOMBOY Media. And it's been a while since we've talked to him. Yeah, I think the last time we chatted, he was on the East Coast, of course, finishing up his season with the New York Mets. Now he's back on the West Coast in the friendly confines of his brand new home, Trevor May. How is it?
It's so great. I just finished my studio today, or yesterday, sorry. Just got all my stuff from my other studio, kind of moved in and generally off the floor. So it's a big deal. It's very more zen. It's way more zen in here than it was, 2 days ago. So great.
Okay. So what are you using it for? Obviously you do this podcast. You have another podcast that you do.
Yes,
you do will you do all your streaming in there as well?
All my streaming in here. We just said I ordered an awesome huge L desk that's going to be all rise and for standing as well. But now I have just like two old desks. My desk in my old studio was mounted to the wall. I don't know if I thought that was a good idea at the time. Then it wasn't. So now I have a standing desk. I got my wife last year. She's got like a whole built-in thing now downstairs in her office. So now we each have our own office. So I took her desk, I made this little L kind of thing. And we're going to put a desk on the other side with a whole other computer set up for her because she wants to do all kinds of stuff. We have a bunch of cool stuff, like a charity stream planned where she's going to be part of the stream too. And all kinds of cool stuff. So, yeah.
If we can help out in any way, please let us know.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I'm definitely going to hit you up on that because we got a lot of really cool stuff and we're going to add some more.
Good. You look much more at ease.
Yes. What is it? Is it the smile giving it away? Yeah. No, it's nice to relax a little bit.
Is that just from the grind of any old season, or is it the grind of being in New York?
It's both. I mean, who are we kidding? Like having a 60-game season the year before too. Like nobody had. Fatigue was different this year. Fatigue's always there. It's something that we are accustomed to, but it hit a little bit harder this year. And then, there's just a general disappointment. We were disappointed in our season, and we were kind of riding high for a long time there and had a lot of opportunities to kind of be in the position that the Braves are in right now. And we just didn't get the job done. And that doesn't help. And then doing that in New York is just add that on top. So it's just, yes, it was more than usual, but daunting to say the least. But moving forward, I mean, it's all really valuable experience.
I get it. You guys were in first place for more than 100 days.
Yeah,
the Braves actually didn't even take sole possession of first place till mid-August.
Yep.
Season. Then they stepped on the accelerator. They went nuts. They pitched great. Their bullpen shored up. Their infield was awesome this year. What, in your opinion, most went wrong for your team?
I would say, excuse me. I would say, we had a lot of injuries, right? They lost Acuna, but I'm going to be honest, frankly, other than that, and Soroka, some big key places.
Yeah, those are big players.
But that the ripples of that didn't start to affect other guys. So there was no point where, their opening day lineup, 8 of the 9 guys weren't in the lineup like that. They weren't there at any point. And I feel like that's something we dealt with that was more glaring just because of some guys not performing offensively as well as they are normally do. So I think that the injuries would have been more manageable had, if Conforto and Dom, for example, were having the year were having last year. It would have been more manageable having but we were definitely scraping by for a long time. And losing Jake DeGrom will absolutely, take a lot from any rotation he's in, right? So having that guy that's just like, hey, I'm throwing 8, so you guys aren't gonna. Everyone but Suge is down today, and I love those days. I love coming in and be like, Jake, bullpen's closed today. See you tomorrow. I just joking around, but I was 100% serious at the same time. You lose Jake, that's a big deal. And I'm gonna be honest, we had Tyler McGill came up and had a really great rookie campaign, and then threw 60 innings more than he's ever thrown in his life. Taiwan had his 3 years of kind of just not being able to get an innings limit up because of injuries. This year, he stayed healthy the entire year, and he faded. And he would tell you, he's like, I faded down the stretch, but this is going to be a growing pain and getting that throwing the 2-inning innings. If I want 200 innings in a year, I want to do it. I have to do this first. Like, it wasn't just going to happen probably. So like, that's what, like, a lot of guys were doing that. Right. And we just weren't primed to be clicking all cylinders there at the end of the year. I know that sounds like excuses, but at the end of the day, like, some things that weren't predictable were going to have to happen. We're going to have like a rookie come up and be like rookie of the year. Like, we needed one of those sparks. And we just didn't. I don't think we had it this year. But that said, tons of experience, tons of guys who are going to have this horrible taste in their mouth that have won every year before that. I'm talking about Lindor and myself and McCann. Like, that last 2 months, I don't ever want to taste that taste again. That was like, if anything, anger will give me that extra energy, I think, moving into the next year. But I think that a lot of guys took a step forward in terms of workload and stuff. So that's my optimism going into the offseason as we start to add front office personnel and coaching staff and all that kind of stuff.
Hey, we all want something out of life, and we want to help others in the process. I've got the perfect combination for you. It's called Charity Buzz. It's the premier online marketplace for cause. It's hosting a philanthropic trading card auction featuring highly coveted baseball, not to mention basketball cards as well. So all you have to do, head to cards.charitybuzz.com to explore the auction and bid on all the rare cards up for auction. That includes a Topps 1952 Mickey Mantle rookie card with a PSA grade 8. I'm going to repeat that again. 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle rookie card with a PSA grade of 8. That is big time stuff, folks. Now, all the funds raised will actually benefit at-risk youth through the Inspiring Children Foundation auction. It'll be live on Thursday, October 28th. So if you're an avid card collector who also wants your money to go out to a good cause, this is the perfect place for you. And if you just recently got into the hobby, you're interested in current players, that's cool too. They've got Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani rookie cards as well. So once again, visit cards.charitybuzz.com. You can also follow them at Charity Buzz on all major social media platforms, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well. What did you learn most about playing in New York?
What did I learn most about playing in New York? I think that because the fan base is a huge, like, it's just, it is the energy, the energy around the whole thing goes with them. So like, if you go out and you show that you're willing to go all out for everything all the time, that's something they respond to very, very, like, they love that. That passion that they have, whether it's negative or positive, at the end of the day, like, if you're someone who just like it was very evident that you gave all you wanted it as much as they wanted it. And it's clear, because sometimes it's not clear. Then that goes a mile. And they love it. And as entertainers, that's our job. So like, finding those times where you're like, reach down deep right now, if you're able to do that and get the job done just a couple more times, I think it goes a long way in New York. But they always say it, it's hard to see if you haven't been part of those teams yet, but they always say it, like, yes, it's very hard to not be great here, but to be, when you're good, there just isn't, like, you turn into a boy band. Like, that's what happens. Like, they already call Gary, Keith, and Ron GKR, like they're a Korean, pop band. And and if that says anything, like the heightened of fandom there, like, the pedestal they're willing to put you on is way the hell up there. So if you really just like feed off that, just do everything you can to give them some W's, then. So that's what I'm taking in this offseason as motivation for next year.
Were you surprised your manager was fired?
No. And I think that Luis is an incredible person. He genuinely took our struggles, anyone who was struggling personally, or like he saw you going through something. He really took it. He's an extremely empathetic person. He's there with you. And he was always out, going out of his way to make sure, he's thinking about you, or if you had something going on or whatever. And that, I think that's invaluable as a as a boss, but as a person that you're, in close proximity to daily. But I think towards the end there, he was just like, yeah, we didn't win as many games as we should have the last 2 years. And he just knowing the nature of the market and the organization and how the turnover, and it's just, there's no long leashes. It's just, we're not in a place where there's long leashes anywhere. But I'm very, very encouraged by the fact that I think he's been offered an opportunity to, barring getting another job somewhere, that everyone I was so happy to hear that when they were like, hey, you're probably not going to come back in the role you were in this year, but we would love to give you an opportunity to find another big league job somewhere else before giving you an opportunity to work in this organization again. Like that's
unheard
very,
of.
very classy.
Yeah.
And very, very awesome. Really good for those guys, because it's a crappy situation. And for them to have like, here's options and opportunities if you can have them, that is a good place to be. And I like that. But I hope that I get to work with Louis moving forward. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's on, maybe not in a manager role, but in a dugout somewhere else.
Well, I think that eventually he'll be back in a manager's role. I think he could be a guy like AJ Hinch, who people forget that his first job was in Houston. His first job was in Arizona, where he came from the front office. He was in his mid-30s. Even he admitted, I was overwhelmed.
Over my head, yeah.
I mean, big time. And he took that, and people can say what happened in Houston. We get all that. We understand. He was successful. He helped turn around.
I would say that success is definitely something you would attribute with him now.
And it wouldn't surprise me if he does the same thing in Detroit, because I think
we've already seen.
I hope the same thing happens with Luis Rojas.
100%.
With all that being said, this is Steve Cohen's first opportunity to put his stamp on a franchise, right? Sometimes what happens is they look in the dugout and they say, well, that didn't work. And Luis seemed like a really nice guy. And you mentioned he's empathetic. Well, we need a guy that's going to be a grinder now. Is that a mistake if they swing the pendulum the entirely different direction?
I just think that that whole, perception is just silly. Because the whole grinder versus being a nice guy, at the end of the day, the best teams in the major leagues, because we got guys who are quote unquote tough nosed, like Tony La Russa, and we got Dusty Baker, who's like old school, but also like the nicest dude ever. And then we got like the Kevin Cashes of the world, who are just buddies with everybody. Like, and they're all successful in their own ways. I think it comes down to having top to bottom, if the pyramid were the organization, philosophies that are then being carried out in a very, very efficient and highly communicated manner from there all the way down into the dugout. And then the players are bought in as well. Like, that is what the best teams do. So like, yes, having a players manager is like, hey guys, no, we're not showing up till 4 tomorrow because travel sucked tonight. Like, having that feel, that's very important, but it's not near as important as having a really, really strong organizational philosophy, and then figuring out what that is, both offensively and defensively and pitching, and then sticking to it, sticking to your guns and making micro adjustments as you need. And I think that generally we are transitioning in a couple of those things into finding out what that identity is, and then getting the guys on the field to fully buy in and do it every day. And there were times where sometimes like it could have been done just a little bit better. I think top to bottom, I don't think anyone would lie and say that, oh, everything was great there, we just didn't get the job. Like, that's not, sometimes we just needed to buy in as players, buy in a little bit more to the information we were given, and thinking a little bit outside the box, how we can apply it to our game. But I remember I was having tons of those conversations, especially with hitters. Pete Alonso and I would sit and talk, and I'd be like, here's how I approach hitters, man. Here's how I approach you. And he's like, oh, I need to know that stuff about me too. Like, so maybe I should factor that into how I prepare. And then he went on a tear right after that, because he realized he was swinging at something.
The reason. Boom.
Yeah, I'm taking complete responsibility. But he realized that he was swinging at a pit. He's one of those guys who thinks he can hit everything, which he can, but he doesn't need to. Like, you don't need to hit every pitch in the zone. You need to hit the ones you hit hard. And he's like, oh man, if I just foul that one off and then get that one in my zone again, I'm more likely to get it. And he stuck with that for a while, and he started to prepare in that way. And then those conversations started happening, rippling effect kind of everywhere. And guys were like, okay, I know what to ask for. I don't need to just take what I'm given. And if it doesn't do anything for me, just be like, oh, because sometimes that happens. It's every day you're just like, man, I just wish I had something. I'm searching for something. And it just doesn't happen. You just don't wake up one day and be like, oh, I know what I'm doing now. Like, it's a process. And it just all happened. And then getting tired also, add that in. It's just perfect storm.
Complete this sentence for me.
Mm.
If Marcus Stroman does not come back to the Mets,
I could answer that in many ways. He's going to go. Am I supposed to say predict where he's going to go?
No. What does it mean for you? What does it mean for the team?
Oh, no, we're not as good of a team without him. That's for sure. Without signing someone that is very similar to him. No, he had a great year. And he brings this, like, stop worrying about all the dumb stuff, like, mindset in. I know that comes off a certain way sometimes, but he just, like, doesn't. I just don't have time for that dumb question. Like, I just don't have time to think about that and worry about that. Sorry, I move on. He brings that a little bit. And he takes the ball, man, and he's takes a lot of pride in the way he prepares and recovers for his starts. And he would be like, hey, if he set a goal to pitch 40 times in a year, he'd be like, I'm going to find a way to do it. That sounds great. Like, that's just the way he is, and that's extremely valuable. He's going to be successful wherever he is, even if it's not with us. I really hope that the opportunity arises to have him and Jake for 162 games, because in a playoff series, I mean, I don't think there's a lot. I don't think there's many duos, right, that I would rather have in a big games than those two.
And we talked about it at the beginning that New York's a different place.
It is.
I mean, he's from there. He understands the heartbeat of it. He eats it up. He loves the spotlight, meaning he shines brightest when it's on. He doesn't shy away from saying what's on his mind. I mean, I know that, the numbers have to work on both sides. I get all that stuff. But I think the Mets are ridiculous if they don't. And I know they have to work on the offense, too.
Make a concerted effort, at least.
I think
there has to be because I just went through free agency. I get it. Like, sometimes you're just, no matter how hard you try, there's just another organization more primed to make that person's career, like, and and you don't have the ability to do that. If that happens, that happens. But I really hope that it is a priority to get him back.
Hey, gang, are you like me? Well, at least kind of like me. You like free stuff, don't you? Well, our friends at Dugout Mugs want to give away stuff throughout the entire playoffs. All you have to do is get your dugout mug, something like this. I love the way it's engraved, by the way, out of a baseball bat. That is the neatest stuff. Take a drink like this, slam it down, take a video, take a picture of yourself doing it, tag Dugout Mugs on social media. You're going to be entered to win free stuff. You might be saying to yourself, well, Chris, I don't have anything yet. Ha! Dugout Mugs is here to give you a great discount throughout the entire postseason. They're letting you get the free knob shot, which is my little favorite. Look at this thing. I love it. It's even got the Cleveland C on it as well. All you have to do, go to dugoutmugs.com, keyword rotation. Dugoutmugs.com, keyword rotation. This baby is free. All you have to pay for is the $8.95 of shipping and handling. They've got an awesome collection, right? They've got the classic. They've got the wine. Once again, they're all engraved. They've got the bottle opener, in case you want a little brewski to put in there. And they got the knob shot as well. So they're going to be hanging out with us the entire playoffs. Once again, it's dugoutmugs.com/rotation to get your free knob shot today. Cheers. The goal is to get to the playoffs next year and eventually to get to where all these teams are in the LCSs. Yes. Even though you played this year in the National League, you are going to break down the ALCS because you spent the first 6 seasons of your big league career facing teams like the Red Sox and the Astros. You've faced a lot of these batters, a ton. Which offense, because they're two of the top offenses in baseball, which offense, in your opinion, is tougher to navigate through?
The Astros, the Red Sox. I would say the Astros. And that's simply because of strikeouts. Ability to swing and miss. I need to get 3 guys out. They're going to get their hits. They had what? I don't know what they had 8 guys hit over 300. So like they have lots of good hitters, guys who don't, and then guys who put the ball in play. And for me personally, that's just not something that I need to have the guy who's a homer threat, but has holes that I can hit somewhere in there. And they don't have that mostly.
Mm-hmm.
And like, for example, different than like the Braves, right? The Braves are dangerous also in a different way. So, yeah, I would definitely say the Astros. Not that the Red Sox like are a crazy swing and miss team. They just have a few guys that me personally, I match up fairly well, and they're spaced out through the lineup that it's a little bit of a, if you're a power guy or a guy that goes for strikeouts, a little bit of a less daunting lineup to navigate.
Well, you haven't faced the Astros, I think we saw since 2018, but there's a lot of veterans in that lineup. I mean, yes, Tucker's new, but other than that, for the most part, you faced a lot of these guys. I mean, you saw Michael Brantley a ton when you were both in the Central there. Who is the toughest guy to get out in that
toughest
lineup?
Guy to get out? For me,
who's the toughest guy to face and why?
I'm going to give you a couple. Altuve is a nightmare because he's a bad ball hitter. You can hit the ball over his head, and elevating on him isn't good. It's getting the ball down and away is better, and it's hard because he's not very big. So it's like throwing through an eye of a needle. It sucks. And he has something about him, just like when you really need him to get out, he doesn't. He's just the guy who's just like, it's the, hey, second and third, I'm working out of this inning. Altuve's up. I'm almost out of it. 2 strikes on him, and then he dunks one into right and scores. And you're just like that. And I think I've gotten him out once. I think he's faced me 6 times. Even I remember the 5th time I faced him, he popped it up to second. I was like, got it, and we dropped it. He was on. I was like, it's just maybe he's just lucky too. But he was 4 for 4, and then he popped one up finally, and he still got on base. Altuve, but then Brantley is a different kind of tough to face. I'm not as worried about bop with Brantley. It's more of like it's very Joe Mauer, like cool 11 pitch at bat just to get a 13 hopper at the middle, and now he's on, right? Or walk him or something. And he's just not going to chase. Or like you 12 pitch at bat and you like kind of back up a curveball 2-2, and it's like kind of away and it's just below zone. He just like kind of awkwardly waves at it. I'm like, you couldn't have done that any other time. But it's just like he's so locked in on what he's doing. When you throw him something random on accident, he looks dumb sometimes. Soto does every once in a while too. You'll just hang something and he'll be like, so he's, yes, that pitch right there. That's not where that was supposed to be. So that's the only time you can get him. But for the most part, like he's just going to fight you. And then you add in guys like Bregman, Correa, and Alvarez and Tucker, who are all like, now that those 2 are on base, you're like, great.
Do you think that Carlos Correa thrives on being the heel?
Yes. Well, you're familiar with the Carlos Correa story. It's kind of been his whole life, man. Like just being not the heel, but like, a little bit of the chip, a little bit of the, I'm just going to like whatever people think I can't do. I'm just going to like work 10,000 times harder. And then
but this is different.
Get in.
This is different. He was like the face of the scandal. And he went, in spring training a couple of years ago when Cody Bellinger was like, those motherfuckers stole our rings. And he's like, shut up. Yeah. Shut up. He wasn't like, hey, listen, we're sorry. He was like, yo, shut up. So he like doubled and tripled down.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. So that happened. I was like, dude, this isn't one of those times. And I think that's just kind of like, again, that's just like his strategy. Like with the team, they were bad. Like, don't count us out. Don't count us out. But it wasn't it wasn't a count you out situation that time. It was more of a like, hey, you're in the wrong here. Like you guys were in the wrong. Like, I'm not saying just take it. And I'm not saying that you don't have to rebut, but you don't have to double in. Like, we're going to show you, like, show what? Like, I don't know. It was just weird at that time. But again, I don't know him personally either. That I've never had a conversation. I try to withhold too much, like judgment for that stuff. But That I remember watching it. Like, I hate it when people say this to me on Twitter, but in this case, it matters. Read the room a little bit. Like, you messed up, and it snowballed, and it's a really shit situation, and we kind of just want to move on. We want to get past it too, because we're tired of saying how we feel about it as well. I can imagine what it's like for you. So maybe just, I don't know.
Well, with all that being said,
he loves it.
I had Austin Hedges, the catcher for Cleveland, on to do a preview show. And I said, do you think most baseball players are rooting against the Astros? And he goes, wow, that's a great question. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say yes. And I'm going to be honest, this is coming from my perspective. I was rooting for the Rays and the Brewers because I love it when teams win for the first time. Like, I wanted a team that had never won a World Series to win it.
I get all that.
Yeah.
So that was a different thing. But that was rooting against the team because of something in particular.
That said, on the bottom of that list was the Astros. And also they've won fairly recently. And also I have different allegiances to like weird, like I have a weird, like I weirdly like the Red Sox just because my grandfather was like a weird Red Sox fan. And then, I was 13 when they broke the curse. So that was super cool. I was always I'm a Mariners. I grew up liking the Mariners, right? So I was like, yeah. And we hated the Yankees growing up. So I was like, the Red Sox are their nemesis, and they haven't won a World Series. So it'd be great to see them win one. And then now they've won 4, and it's changed a little bit since then. But at that time, I have this weird, like, I still am like, I love playing in Fenway. I love playing against the Red Sox. I'm always kind of comfortable, and it's no matter how good they are, and it's always fun. And it's just like a different feel just because of how I grew up. So, I tend to like lean for those reasons. And then you add in the fact that like, and they got me once during that era too. And that doesn't make me happy. Now not verified, obviously, but it makes you wonder. You're just like, man, I would really, if that's what was happening that day, really would like those 4 runs back. That'd be nice. That would be helpful. But rest is history. Like, so I think that in general, it wouldn't be a stretch to say that there's a lot of baseball players who would quote unquote prefer maybe another team to win it.
Well said. Hey gang, look, nobody's perfect. People strike out with the bases loaded. We saw people missing short putts in the Ryder Cup. Sometimes you come up a little short, and it happens in the bedroom as well. But our friends at Get Roman want to help you. So go to GetRoman.com/JOMBOY now. With Roman, you get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for all forms of EED. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional is going to work with you. Sit down. If medication is required, it gets sent free with 2-day shipping to your home. So the great part about this, no doctor's office visits. You don't have to stand in line at the pharmacy. The whole process is straightforward and discreet. So getting started is really simple. GetRoman.com/JOMBOY and complete an online visit. Take care of your form of ED today. It's GetRoman.com/JOMBOY now, and you get $15 off your first month. Once again, that is GetRoman.com/JOMBOY. If medication is required, 2-day free shipping. Get started now and save $15 on your first month. You haven't pitched in Houston since the whole report came out. The next time you go there, will you be a little leery of the situation, or will you say, okay, well, I think hopefully the sport has cleaned things up?
I'd be like, hopefully the sport has cleaned things up a little bit, or that, that we're back to doing the picking up tips and tips off guys and trying to grab signs from second and doing it the good old fashioned, get a little bit of an advantage because the guy's giving you something situation. That's a little more fun, obviously. So, but I lived through it. It'll probably always be there a little bit, but as for worried about it, I can't do anything if it's happening or if it isn't anyways. So it's like, you still got to go and just get as creative and whatever as you feel you need to get and play. So like, even if that is happening and they're doing it exactly the way to do it, I'm going to go out with like the weirdest sign sets you've ever seen. And it's going to be fine either way. I have control to an extent. So maybe we'll just do that and then it won't matter. So, but it is definitely like over the last couple of years, it's definitely like not become it's not something I'm thinking about anymore. Like I faced him a bunch of spring. I wasn't even thinking about it. Let's just go get those guys out.
Tepera, the reliever for the White Sox, did come out and say after game 3 in Chicago, he said, well, look at the swings they were taking today compared to the ones down in Houston. And I wouldn't put anything past them. Did you think that that was an unfair statement without facts to back it up necessarily?
It's a little jab. I, myself being a bullpen guy, I know that we just sit there and just like, hey, this happened. That was weird. When I was pitching this thing like he swung at this pitch and no one swung at this pitch like that all year. And then it snowballs and you're just in a tight quarters and you're just like, yeah, well. And then you guys are all like, oh, we're convinced it's happening again. Like that's how it works. And he was fired up. He wanted to fired up about the game. He had a little bit of success today, feeling good. And so it's frustration still frustrated about 17. And again, like in terms of punishment, man.
Well, there wasn't any.
There wasn't any. And so like the only way to do it is just like not let them forget that they did it. Right. Like that's like our way of like, I guess, policing it. And so not letting it slide still this far and just kind of alluding to something is a little bit of a jab. Like, hey, we remember, even if there's nothing to back it up and it probably wasn't, it's still like, I don't know, competition, man. People just get fired up and they do it. And I think that's what it was.
Robbie, we're going to continue to break down the ALCS, but our outstanding producer, Robbie Scirocco, if you can just see if there's any new news on Lance McCullers when we talk to Trevor about him shortly. Boston Red Sox lineup. You face JD Martinez the most out of either of these two teams. Is he the difference maker that everybody talks about? And if so, why?
It's Devers, actually.
What?
Devers is probably the difference maker.
Really?
In the lineup. So you make, or at least, okay, so I'll talk from my point. We pick guys who are like, these guys, we can't let them beat us. And we got to take our chances with the other guys. I feel like Rafi, because he's such a good bat to ball hitter and he's so good at producing runs. Now JD's very good at producing runs as well. JD's holes are a little bigger than Rafi's. In like you can get swings and misses inside of the strike zone. It's very hard with Devers. You got to get him to chase. Now he will because he's young and he's very excited to hit and he has the biggest chaw you've ever seen. I love that he just chews it. It's just out of his mouth and he's I'm a big fan of watching him play too. He just looks like a little kid out there playing, but he is one of the better bat to ball skills. I'd say he's a top 5 bat to ball guy in the league. And as he continues to get even tighten up close more and more in the zone, which he will, he's gonna be like, he's really good now. He's batting title good. One of these years he will win a batting title. That's my
he's that good, huh?
He's that good. And not only is he that good, he hits the things he hits extremely hard and extremely like predictably, like regularly. Like that pitch, if you miss there, he's gonna hit it. Like you're not gonna get away with it probably. Like there's no swing and miss. He's not gonna swing and miss. So but JD again, he's a run producer. He's a guy I faced a lot in Detroit too. So but he's a big mistakes. So like if you make a mistake, his whole and he'll tell you this too, his whole thing is to be on time for where he knows he can hit the ball hard. He's not so worried about like changing his swing in order to hit stuff that he doesn't generally hit unless he's in where he needs to foul it off. Very Miggy Cabrera-esque. Miggy's like, oh, heater up and away and cutting. I can't hit that hard, foul it off. All right, see if you can do it again. Foul it off. Okay, see that school of thought. He was on that team with those guys. He's very much like that. So he extends at bats and until you make that mistake, and then he takes it off the monster over it. And you're like, dang it, that's a professional hitter right there. But I'm talking about in terms of like bat to ball. Doesn't matter where you throw it over my head in the dirt. I might still make something happen. Yeah, I would rather face JD over Rafi anytime.
Fascinating. Wow, it's really, really interesting. So the pitching staffs. Let's start with Boston. I mean, everybody's a believer in Nate Eovaldi. Certainly what he does in the postseason. We all remember 2018 and then lit it up against the Yankees in the wild card and, continued to pitch well against Tampa Bay. Tanner Houck looks awesome.
Chris Sale right-handed.
Yeah. So is Sale the key? Like, does he have to get back to Chris Sale in order for them to win this series?
Yeah, I think that if he doesn't, then Erod will have to step up in a big way, which he pitched really well his last outing.
Mm-hmm.
He's thrown much better in the second half too. You can tell he's locking in his changeup, and he's got a little bit of velo too here at the end of the year, which is great. And so if it turns out to, like, Sale has to do one of these like 2-3 inning guys, and then Erod comes in after, or vice versa, or they save him for the fourth game. I think that there's I think he'll have room for that in a 7-game series. If Eovaldi takes care of business there at the beginning, right? So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. But I think that if he is Chris Sale of old, then it's chalk it, right? But he's coming back from Tommy John fairly quickly. He's thrown a ton of innings up to this point, and also so it's going to take him a little bit to get to like reaching back for 97, 98. But
let me stop you there. How difficult is that when you're 10 starts back? I think the most he's gone is 5 or 6, and we only saw him throw 1 inning in that game 2 down in Tampa. So how tough is that? You've come back from Tommy John.
Tough. I literally, because I couldn't get it fast enough in order to get myself a spot in the major leagues again, I literally moved myself to the bullpen. Like, that's why I'm here right now doing this, because I made that decision, because it was like, if I try to I don't have time to get back like that.
So is it possible that his spot is better in the bullpen during this series?
Possibly. And I know that he's done that before. He's Bumgarnered it and come in for 3 innings, 4 innings, and that could be something. I still say start him for the next couple, like at least get him his next one, see how that goes, and then maybe make an executive decision and do like a bullpen opener Rays situation where he comes in for 3 in the second, or the second guy out of the pen, to get maybe another couple guys through the lineup or whatever. Play it like that. You might need to, because
he couldn't be a guy, let's say, that you put as a bullpen piece and use several times in a series. Let's say it were to go 7 games. Ooh, your battery just exhausted.
Oh no way. Oh, hold on. I have a backup.
This is fantastic. Whoa, no signal. Cables. No. We have to check if the cables are properly and securely connected.
You ready for this? You're about to get completely juked here.
Oh my God.
Okay. Video.
Trevor May, who's got the best setup ever. Whoa.
So now
what did you just do?
I have a backup camera. I just installed it yesterday. So now we're talking to you this way.
Yeah, but I feel like I just got rid of my high def and went back to standard def.
You did. This is a webcam now. And not only that, you get a little bit of the window, so the lighting's all messed up. I haven't calibrated it well, but it is a video camera. Let's turn this off so it can heal, or whatever that
heal
charge. But I would say it would be tough to do that right out of the gate. Just be like, hey, now you're a 7th inning guy or something. And he still can give you length, and that's so valuable in the playoffs, because you have such short leases for your starters. So I would say stick to the plan now. But if you needed to do that in a situation where he's coming in to, like, he's going to be the second guy out, he's going to be that starter, he would probably be the first in line for them to make that decision, if that makes sense. Because he's just not going to throw. He's not going to throw a shutout. Like, he's not going to throw 9 innings. He's not going to have an 8-inning gem. He's not there yet. Now, next year, I'm sure day one he's going to try to be that guy again. But right now, I don't think he's in that position yet.
Okay. Robbie Scirocco, why don't you pop on the screen? This is our producer, editor extraordinaire. Let's see you.
Hey.
All right. So you have some news.
Yeah, John Heyman just tweeted out about 15 minutes ago that there's great concern for McCullers in the short term, and he's most likely out of the ALCS.
Ooh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
So he pitched game 4 in Chicago and
short
went
rest, right?
4 innings.
Was he on 3 days?
Was he?
No, they got rained out, so he was on regular. But he was
on regular rest. Okay. But remember, he is a former Tommy John guy as well. Throws a ton of sliders. Right. Thank you, Rob Scirocco, reporting from the Scirocco newsroom.
Absolutely.
This could be devastating news for Houston.
Yeah, I would say, because he's the game one guy. That's it's not ideal. Do we have information on exactly what's
so it's
bothering him?
he left with a forearm issue.
So flexors probably. That's most of the time. And that's sometimes an indicator of elbow fatigue, which I'm sure is happening, right? And so other things take over to protect your elbow. And I'm not, of course, I'm speculating. I don't want to speculate, but it's just
you're
common.
a guy who's been through Tommy John, so you know what guys.
It's common. It's actually nothing to be even like afraid about. It's just like eventually, I rehabbed for 16 months in my back of my shoulder. I remember I came off the DL 6 days into coming off the DL. I went back on because my shoulder was like, I had shoulder tendonitis, and I was like, what is I was so mad. So what happened? Like, your arm's just like, hey, bro, you need to stop throwing for just a couple days. We've been throwing for 16 straight months. And I was like, oh, and then 3 days later I was fine and we got back. So some of it's just horrible timing, but without him, man, you go to Valdez.
Yeah.
And then you go to
Framber and then Garcia. And then you have to put Greinke definitely in the rotation.
100%.
And then you probably go a bullpen game.
The bullpen game started by, what's his name? Javier. I could see that. He's the 2+ guy.
And don't forget about Urquidy.
Oh, Urquidy. I didn't even know. I thought he was hurt. Frankly.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
He's a huge piece for them.
He is.
He's a huge piece, but you're talking about, you're not just losing a guy who can give you length in Lance McCullers. You're losing a guy who has been dominant.
A guy
in the playoffs.
He's the guy. He's actually the guy.
He's
right. Their guy.
He's the
guy right now. And losing him for the whole series is going to be huge. So capitalizing on that for the Red Sox, just like hitting the guys with not as much experience. But they got a pretty tight ship over there in Houston. And we saw it last year. Threw a bunch of rookies at us, and guys were not phased. There was no free bases, no nothing. They were going right after us. They were making us make stuff happen. And that's kind of their ethos. That's how they run things over there. And so the next guy in line, I'm sure, is going to attack the same way, but you would much rather have your most talented guy out there for sure.
Rob, because you were so smart and you just put it up in the chat, go ahead, pop back on the screen. I want you to get some more airtime. And this is going to, your wife's going to be jealous because the ladies are just going to be writing in saying, who is that?
I think so.
Yeah, who's the guy you suggested?
I did do my hair this morning.
Yeah.
Who's the guy you suggested?
Oh, Jake Odorizzi, Rose rotation guest with Trevor May.
Jake Odorizzi. What is he out in the bullpen right now, or they can?
He was not on the roster,
so they can add somebody if.
You can add. Yeah. You can add and subtract every round.
Oh yeah, the series hasn't even started.
Now the thing I worry about a little bit with Jake is that there seemed to be a communication issue between himself and the team. Whether it was, remember he had the delayed start because he signed late. And then in the middle of the year, you saw the frustration. He didn't pitch up to his standards at all. I'm curious where his head's at with all that. And you know him really well. He's a former teammate.
Oh, he'll be ready to go. You never want to start a season like that because it's hard to get your feet under, especially when it's a new team. And kind of where your role is, knowing what your role is on a team is so important for, clarity of mind and how clear you can have your process. And, like you can project what you're going to be doing. And that goes a long way. So just to kind of jump on into a series that you kind of weren't expecting to be in at the beginning could be hard. But he's a starter. They're very routine oriented. He might have enough time here to get like his mind wrapped around it and ready to go. And probably won't be expected to. Again, he's not going to throw 7 shutout unless he's absolutely cruising with throwing 9 pitch innings. Right? There's probably so the expectation for him to cover all his innings and stuff isn't super high. And like you said, they got Urquidy and him and. Guys who can give a little bit, and Javier, who can give a little bit of length, and you can piece together something. If you need to go 4 Rays, they have the personnel to do it.
Okay. With all this being said, who's your winner? Who's representing the American League in the World Series?
I would say if there were 100 votes in my head, 51 would probably go to Houston, just because of the type of lineup they have. That there's times where it doesn't matter who's pitching, and they've been doing that really consistently, and all their guys are healthy, and I believe, and they have the better record, so they have home field advantage, and they obviously play really well at home, and with that ballpark and the way their lineups put together, it's very advantageous for them. They're not a fun team to play there, but all of that said, 2018, that same thing happened, and Boston did it anyway. So who knows? I thought Tampa was going to do it this year, at least get back to the series. And to be honest, they kind of just got handled. Like, it wasn't really that. I mean, it was. I thought it was 100% going to 5 and going to go to extras in the 5th, and it didn't. And so they're hot, and you know how the Red Sox are when they're hot. Who knows? Mm. So, but I would say 51-49.
Okay. Anything interesting on your desk? What are those bills over your shoulder?
This is what I call my oh shit pile.
Okay.
And
they all have one of those.
There is a lot that I need to tackle here, which I was waiting to get the studio done, but in reality, I was just putting it off. And that's happening, through this weekend. So, okay. What else? I got tissues because I came home and I just have a horrible cold.
Yeah, I read that.
And allergies at the same time. Very dry air here. What else? Fan mail. Probably should catch up on that. People have asked me, hey, I sent you cards 15 months ago. Can I have those back? I was like, sure, I'll get to that, I'm sure. But yeah, other than that, no, it's just a bunch of crap.
Are you and Kate doing any traveling?
Kate is going to Mexico next month. I was invited until every other husband backed out but me. So I wasn't going to be the fifth wheel. So I was just like, she's like, you don't have to go if you don't want. I was like, well, it's Mexico. She's like, yeah, but no one. I'm like, all right, you just go have a girls' trip. So as of right now, I am not booked for any travel. But I'm going to be honest, traveling after night games all season was enough for me. I had enough red eye flights to San Francisco to play that night. That I'm good. I'm good for a while if I don't go to an airport for a couple months.
I understand it. Let's get you out of here with the wheel of moderately interesting things. Hopefully you land on something that you have not landed on before. And if you do, we're going to spin it again, or I'll just figure out a topic.
All right.
I don't know if we've done this with you. OnlyFans?
Sounds familiar. What is it again?
Not what you think.
I know it's not.
You dirty dog, you. It's the team you were most, you root for most passionately. I think I did do that one.
Yeah, we did do that one. We did.
Okay, good. So we're going to move to see how neat that was? I just moved it one. You're in trouble.
Okay, yeah. Oh, we haven't done that one.
The most trouble you got in with your parents as a kid.
Ooh. Most trouble I got with my parents. Two things. When I was 6, my brother was 12, and he tricked me into swearing in front of my parents. I'm just dropping an F-bomb. I had no clue what it meant. And he tricked me into it just at dinner. And they were like, I was like, oh no.
How did he trick you?
He convinced me that it meant something. I can't even remember what it was. I need him to tell the story again. But he convinced me it meant something else, like it was some casual word, and I wanted to show off that I knew it, because it was like, I was like learning. I was just first year in school and stuff, so I was like super excited every time I learned something new, and I told my parents. So that's how it happened. But the biggest time was in high school. In high school, I went to a party when I was a junior, and it was basketball season, and the whole basketball team was there, and that party got busted. Every party got busted. We were idiots. Like everyone was. It's so funny. This house was like a block from the high school. And so like all the teachers lived around there, and they're like, hey, we know that there's 1,000 cars out front of that house. We know what you're doing. And so it got busted. We went home. It was fine. But the parents didn't know. Like they were just like, go home, please, guys, don't. So we went home, and then it became apparent at basketball practice on Monday. They're like, that our basketball coach knew. And he's like, guys, your parents are going to find out like today, like, or at the game, 100%. When they're all there, they're all going to talk to each other. They're going to know. So you might want to tell them. So I had to go home and be like, Mom, Dad, I went to a party on Saturday, it got busted. We had to go. I walked home. It's okay, no problem. And my dad's like, you're grounded for 3 days. Like this weekend. My mom's like, no, 2 weeks. And it was the first time I ever got grounded. Like really. And I like did homework every night for 4 hours and like went to basketball practice. That's all I did. I never went anywhere. So that next Sunday, my mom was like, okay, you can be ungrounded. That's the worst thing that ever happened. But I'll never forget our basketball coach looking at us like, you guys really thought you were going to get away with this? Like everyone knows. Just go tell your parents, please, so it's not a thing. So everyone went home and had to like, we got caught having a party at 10:45 at night. So like it barely even happened. Like the party was 45 minutes old. No one even had time to do anything like that they weren't supposed to really. So it was funny, but yeah, we were pretty prude when we were young. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, it's not bad. That's a typical
normal teenager thing. I didn't go in the drunk tank. My sister had to do that. She actually spent a night in jail when she was 17 in the tank. My parents, she got called 2 a.m. Hey, your daughter's in the local jail. There was a party. There's like six or seven of her and her classmates here. Okay. My dad's like, all right, I'll be there at 8. She let her stay the night.
He let your sister stay?
My oldest sister, yeah. Let her stay. Which was so funny. Guess what? That was not a problem anymore.
I imagine. I imagine.
So I was lucky that I was the 4th kid. So they tried all that stuff on everybody else. And I learned.
Yeah. You're taking notes.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, dude. Great catching up. Appreciate it. Well, in the off season, we're only doing this once a week instead of twice. So, maybe 6 weeks or so. We'll check in with you.
Cool. Let me know. On. Any special episode, anything you need me for, man. Let me know. I got lots of time right now.
I appreciate it. We're trying to get multiple guys for a World Series preview. I think that would be fun. I'm doing something with MLB on that, and I'm going to do a watch party for one of the games too. So I'm going to try to get it all planned out. Are you doing your own watch party? Yes, we did one for the first game of the LDS between the Brewers and the Braves. Yeah. And we do that over at JOMBOY. I'm going up for the World Series. That's what I've heard. I'm trying to find. I'm learning a lot from you guys to make it interesting. It's hard when you're the only person watching. Yes. Because now I'm realizing why do color guys and commentary guys are together? It's because you got to have a conversation because you can't just sit there and make stuff up your whole time. Unless you're Vince Scully. Unless you're Vince Scully and you're just telling stories. But you got to have an insane experience to do that well. Yeah. But the nice thing was I did have a chat. So they were feeding me. They were like hitting me questions like, how would you handle the situation? And it was more of like a community thing too. So like it wasn't for the content either. I wasn't going to do anything with it. I just wanted to be live and give people an opportunity to. So, but I'd made a little PowerPoint. We broke down. I spelled Corbin Burns' last name wrong. There was like 5 spelling errors in a 3-slide thing. And basically all my keys to the game happened the way that it happened. And the game ended like I predicted it. It was like really cool. I felt like Tony Romo. I will minus the 19 million a year. Yeah. Maybe my career. We have the same agent. Needless to say, I'm not paying the same commission. Same percentage, just not the same dollars. No, yeah, well, my agent has Mookie Betts. So. Oh. And Jake DeGrom. So needless to say, I said, hey, I'm not paying you anymore. You make plenty. I was going to say, lower my percentage. You're getting money from those two. It didn't work. Yeah, still doing it. All right, my man. Thanks as always. Good catching up. Enjoy the rest of the postseason. Thanks so much for the insight on Boston versus Houston in the ALCS. And thanks to everybody for watching and consuming the product here on JOMBOY Media. This is the Chris Rose Rotation. Special shout out to Robbie Scirocco, who got a lot of FaceTime. For Trevor May, I'm Chris Rose. We'll see you next time.